Welcome back to Diamond Niners Weekly for Week 9 of the 2025 season. I am Nick, joined as always by Kevin.
Hey, what's up, Niner Nation?
And producer Brad, making it all go.
Hey.
Okay, boys, this has been one heck of a week. It's actually been one heck of a couple of weeks. We got a lot of stuff to get into tonight. We've got winning streaks. We've got conference races. We got a big series coming up this weekend, all this stuff to talk about, but we're going to take a little detour right now because we have special guests with us. Let's just jump right in and get senior second baseman Chandler Riley, straight out of Cabarrus County, North Carolina, in here with us. What's up, Chandler?
How are you guys doing?
Man, we're great.
Heck yeah. Chandler Riley from hometown, basically, in Charlotte. I spent my freshman year at UNC Charlotte, ended up transferring, went to a junior college called Gaston, and then I went to Campbell for the last 2 years, and then, made my way back home, back to UNC Charlotte to finish out my career.
Go ahead, Kev.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey, and it's great to have you back after you started your career here, and you're right down the road from us here in Cabarrus County. Great to have you back. Talk a little bit. I don't want to get too far ahead, but about your decision to come back to Charlotte.
Yeah, so it's actually kind of crazy because I actually was talking to my parents right as soon as I entered the portal, and I was like, what happens if UNC Charlotte reaches back out? And my parents, they're all like, blah, 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 it's not going to happen, whatever. And then actually the next day, Coach Woodard texted me and, asked if I would be interested. And I kind of, jumped on it and went over back for a visit, got to talk to them, talk to, the whole coaching staff. And then, a couple weeks later, I was like, all right, yeah, this is where I want to be. I want to go back home. I want to, I'm living at home if that helps, it's like, all right, I'm home.
Now, I want to, Kevin, we're always looking for stuff you can't find the box for. Tell us the background on this because, and tell me if I've got this wrong, but when you arrived here as a freshman, you were wearing number 14. And you wear 14 now, but you wore 14. I think was it most of the fall or it was mid fall? Anyway, you can sort that out for us here. But you started off in 14, and you were wound up switching numbers with Austin Knight, who with 11. You got the 11. Knight became 14. He goes on to become an All-American wearing that 14. And when you come back here, now you're back in 14. So. Give us the details on that whole deal. How does a number get treated?
So I guess my freshman year, obviously I'm the freshman, whatever. And Knight, I guess at Tennessee was number 14. So he kind of asked me like, "Hey, do you want to switch numbers?" Blah blah. And I was like, "Yeah, I don't mind. I like number 11, whatever." And it's funny because we switched so late. So most of the schools, whenever we would go play somewhere else, it would have my picture up there. But obviously he's the one playing and stuff. So we would always make jokes and people would always send me videos. They're like, "Oh, you're playing today." I'm like, "No, it's just my roster picture up there." And then coming back, obviously I don't really know. I kind of, got handed the number, but if I had to guess, I was number 4 at Campbell. I started out 14 here, fours, I guess, they were just putting something together there.
That's awesome. And, did they send you Knight's All-American award?
I wish.
Yeah. Just send it to number 14. It's that guy right there.
Exactly.
So Chandler, you came here right out of high school, and then you made a couple stops before coming back. Talk about the big differences between you coming in as a freshman I know you came off the COVID year as a high school senior. You came in as a freshman. Compare that to coming in as a veteran senior this year.
Oh, a big difference. Obviously, COVID year kind of got everything jammed up, and like everybody got to come back, this and that. But like kind of learning the ropes, and like that's why I'm like honestly like so thankful for my freshman year at UNC Charlotte, because it's like I learned so much about how college baseball works, like how this goes and that kind of thing. And then obviously, like with the COVID year, we had basically the whole infield was returning. So it's like, all right, do I stay here or do I go somewhere else and, get at bats that I need instead of, getting, a handful of at bats in 2 years. And then obviously, making a career at Campbell, and then being able to come back and, like finish it out and have the confidence that, like I know how practice goes. I know Coach Woodard. I know, Coach Bick. I know Coach Simmons. Like, just having like that trust and being able to, already have a relationship with all of them kind of, let me take a deep breath after I, committed here and that kind of thing.
So obviously this is not a Camels podcast, if you haven't figured that out. But I do want to ask you about your experience there, because you played for Coach Hare, who has now gone on. He's at Ohio State. He's kind of one of the up and coming names in coaching circles. I'd be interested into your insight about your time in Bowie's Creek and playing for Coach Hare at Campbell. For sure.
Coach Hare is probably one of the best coaches, obviously one of the best coaches I've ever, played for. He's, like if you've ever been to Bowie's Creek, nobody really knows where it is. Nobody's ever heard of it. And, like our slogan there was the nobody's from nowhere.
You don't get there by accident.
Yeah, exactly. So, like I give him so much credit, for getting the talent that he does, to get there and that kind of thing. So, like I had a very good 2 years there. Obviously my first year there, I think we got up to like number 9 in the nation and ended up, making a regional and that kind of thing. And then last year we started off ranked and kind of lost a couple arms and, like kept falling and it didn't go the way that we wanted it. But, I have nothing but positive words for Coach Hare and, the whole coaching staff there. And, I'm very grateful for those 2 years that I have there.
And so both years, the past 2 years, you played it in a Campbell versus Charlotte game on both sides of the field. Talk a little bit about that experience. It's pretty unique. I guess not really unique these days, but pretty unique to us at least.
For sure. Like last year it was kind of like, oh shoot, like, I get to play against Charlotte. Like I haven't really played against, like a team like obviously I haven't played against them yet. And I think last year definitely like was, I guess, more weird, but like all I knew on the team still was Dante. So like playing against Campbell this year, like I knew probably half the team. So it was, like it was more like, wow, I know half these guys, like that kind of thing. Like I wanted to get after them. Obviously the game didn't end how he wanted it to, but it was still, like pretty cool to swap uniforms, I guess, for say, and play against the Camels this year.
You did hit one out against Campbell this year. And so had you seen that, the pitcher in fall workouts? How many times have you seen that picture?
Yeah, it was funny. He was a freshman last year. He's really cool, really good dude. And actually after the game, he texted me and he was like, I don't know why you had to do that to me. He was like, you already have like 5 or 6 bombs off me and all this stuff. But it was, like I've seen him a lot. So, and I kind of knew obviously after Poteet hits a home run, like they want to get ahead, and I jump on a fastball and take a good swing and, get it out of the park.
the behind the scenes story, if you didn't hear this later, you couldn't have seen it, was your mom talking to his mom after it happened. And I happened to be nearby, and, it was like awkward.
Yeah, his mom and my mom were pretty close, and I think they still got lunch like this fall. I think his mom came down and actually had lunch with my mom or something. So if that says anything, like our parents were still close.
Well, speaking of home runs, you got one walk-off, well, at least one right now, and you got a walk-off homer, you got a walk-off fly ball this season. Talk a little bit about that. The ODU was unique, but the one against JMU was pretty cool also.
For sure. ODU was, very, I guess, lucky. I don't really know. Like, he lost in the lights and, whatever. But I feel like it was more like sentimental, I guess, special for me, because it's like starting out here freshman year, then leaving, and then coming back. It's like, oh, like I did something for the team this year, like I like felt like I've, like provided for the team that like I didn't get to do in the past. And then obviously the JMU one was very unique and probably definitely my favorite moment of the year so far. And, just being able to actually provide and like help the team out has been like very special for me this year.
Talk a little bit about that. If you can remember that at bat against JMU, I remember pretty distinctly that I think it was a lefty.
He
came in. He was. I think a lot of people were having a hard time with his breaking ball, and he was throwing it a lot. Were you sitting on that pitch, or?
I think it was a 2-2 count.
It was 2 strikes for sure.
I know I had 2 strikes on me, and I knew like he lost a lot of velo, so I was sitting on his slider and 2 strikes, and I was just gonna try to foul his fastball off. And he actually threw a changeup, and it just kind of like ran into my barrel. And obviously, like I was a little out in front, but I was like, "Ooh, I got this ball!" Like I hit it well, and I was like, "Uh-oh!" And I look up, and it's like, I'm like, I don't know if it's gonna go. Like it was a line drive, and I was like, all right, like it may sneak over the wall. But yeah, I was definitely like sitting off speed just because I knew his fastball wasn't gonna beat me.
Right. It looked like the guys had a little trouble with that pitch.
Yeah.
I guess it was a changeup too. They was throwing in there, but you held back on it long enough to put it out of the yard. So that was awesome.
For sure.
So I want to ask you about a defensive play. And it speaks to your experience. I see Kevin smirking. He already knows where I'm going. So, and I'm not going to comment on the nature of the call. I want to get you involved because you were the one that picked up on it. So, Wichita State, fly ball is hit to left field. Actually, it really wasn't a fly ball. I mean, it was hammered to left field. Runner on first, 1 out. They're pretty sure Johnny is not going to get to that ball, and he does.
Yep.
But by that time, the runner is at second, or maybe even, shall we say, to the left of second base. I can't imagine why he would be there. And it was you, or at least my perception was that it was you that immediately saw that and started calling out 1, 1, 1, and tag him, and then check it at second. We won't get into the whole decision making process with our friends the umpires, because we love umpires on this show. But to me, kind of walk us through that play and how you were looking at it. But I think it speaks to your leadership on the defense, because I kind of feel like on that infield, you're kind of like a field general out there. You're the experienced guy. You're giving directions and making sure you're kind of directing traffic. But that play right there, more than any that I can remember, and it's so fresh in my memory, kind of shows what you're doing out there on defense.
Yes, sir. I just kind of like, obviously I knew the ball was smoked and I was like, uh-oh. And then I see Johnny kind of like get there and I'm like, oh, okay, like he's making a play on this ball, you know? And I see the runner and I see him like touch second base and I'm like, all right, like he has to retouch it to go back to first base. Like that's, you know, like that's the new rule, whatever it is. And he just kind of like touched it and, you know, like kept and just went back to first base. And I was like, all right, like, and I immediately was just like, all right, like he's, you know, like he needed to retouch it. He didn't retouch it. I was like yelling at the ump, like, oh, he didn't retouch. But I don't know, just kind of like having that like mindset, like that perception of like, you know, trying to be able to see like multiple things at once, kind of slowing the game down, I guess.
Yeah, because trust me, I mean, I'll tell you where my eyes were. My eyes were way out in left field, and so in order to be on top of that play the way you were, you had to be kind of seeing things in three dimensions, if you will, because you were not only tracking Johnny, but you caught on to that like right away, and it was really impressive the way you just the way you were tracking what was going on there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And again, Kevin, you and I will talk about the video review later without Chandler.
Yeah, I love the umpires.
Hey, we love umpires on this show.
Yeah, we can't have our guests get in any trouble with the league or anything. But yeah, we'll save that for a little later. But I wanted to ask you. So you played on the 21 team, correct?
Yes, sir.
And went to the regional. Talk a little bit about that team and your experience making it to a regional. It was our first regional in like 10 years. Talk a little bit about that experience.
Yeah, it was, you know, like being a freshman, you know, not really, I don't know, expecting too much, obviously knowing I'm redshirting. And then being able to, you know, like see the team succeed and that kind of thing. It was really nice. I think I took the year, you know, with full hands on deck and like I tried to get as big as I could in the weight room. And then, you know, I played third base then and, you know, like I was behind Austin Knight every day, kind of picking his brain and, you know, like seeing what he does and, you know, like how I can, you know, make myself better. And I think that kind of, you know, set my, you know, career up for success, you know, being able to, you know, be behind an All-American and learn as much as I did from him. And then kind of have that mindset. And I'll go further on, I guess. And, you know, that year, I don't even remember what we got up to in the rankings, but we made a regional. We were ranked. The next year after that, I would go to Gaston, and, you know, we're number 2 in the nation. The next year after that, I go to Campbell. We get up to number 9 in the nation. And then last year we started off ranked, and then, you know, like we fall out and, you know, it's just, you know, like it turns into a bad year, whatever. And that's kind of like why I wanted to, you know, come back for another year and play baseball again. It's just, you know, like I want to win. I want to go to a regional. I want to go to a super regional and, you know, ultimately go to Omaha and, you know, like have a chance to win the World Series.
So building off that, Chandler, you're what you're saying here is you've done a lot of winning. And we love winning around here for sure. I don't know, you may know, I don't know exactly what your career record against, say, I don't know, our upcoming opponent, Eastern, is. But at Campbell, you guys were their kryptonite. In fact, I mean, I saw on commentary online when it came out that you were transferring back here. Oh, they got that guy. So I don't know what your career record is, or anything like that. I haven't done the math. Maybe you have, but at Campbell, you guys were their kryptonite. So how do you think that plays into this weekend?
I know at Campbell we didn't lose to them in the 2 years that I was there. I think we were 5-0, 4-0 against them. Obviously, you know, like it's tough to beat them. Obviously, like everybody knows it. Like, but going in there and kicking them in the butt at home is like an experience I'll never forget. And then like ultimately my first year at Campbell, we beat them 3 times that year, and every single time we played them, like their fans are on Twitter talking, and it's like, oh, we're gonna get them this time, like every time we shut them up, like that's like the mindset they have to have. It's just like go in there and kick their butt, and they're like the fans aren't going to chirp as much, the fans aren't going to do that as much. It's fun. It's fun being able to like shut the fans up, I guess.
I have a feeling there'll be a few of them around this weekend, especially tomorrow night at Truist.
For sure. But I think we're all ready for it, and like obviously playing in that environment before, and like with the maturity that we have on the team now, I think we're all ready for it.
Well, whatever it is you've been doing, I'll just keep doing that.
Yes, sir. We've been going. I mean, we're starting to get hot, so we're playing well together, and we're playing good baseball right now.
If you could compare the 2 Charlotte teams that you played for. I know you're only halfway through this season. There were a lot of pro guys on that last team you played for, and there's some pro guys on this team as well. Compare the 2 if you have a second.
Yeah. I think being a freshman, it was obviously like harder to, like be not cool, I guess, but like be, like good friends with like the older upperclassmen. And then, like for instance, we go to when we went to Arkansas, Carson Johnson reaches out to me and he's like, hey, I'm coming to your game. Like, I would love to talk to you after the game, like that kind of thing. And it's like, oh, wow, like maybe I did have the impact, like maybe people did recognize me or whatever. I think they're kind of similar in a sense that, like I think that we're all super close and, like tight knit, and obviously it's showing now that, like we finally, started playing baseball the way it needs to be played. And, like we're having fun out there, we're showing up to the field knowing that we're going to, kick somebody in the mouth that day, instead of, like playing on our heels a little bit, which I think we got caught doing in the first half of the year. But, let's go through this weekend and, kick them in the mouth and see how they respond to it.
So we're going to we're going to let you get out of here and get your rest for a game day, and we might even save your voice there because we're it's pollen season, isn't it?
It is. It's terrible.
One last thing, we like to get guys talking about their off the field stuff. Notice you have a degree in finance, which I have a degree in finance, good degree.
Yes,
but you're doing a graduate certificate in corporate venturing.
Yes, sir.
Talk to us about that a little bit. Tell the folks watching about corporate venturing.
So really what they call it in class, I guess, per se, is kind of like entrepreneurship and innovation. So sorry, we have I have 1 class this semester. I had 3 last semester, but they kind of all go hand in hand. But we have like very successful business people come in and talk and go through their process of how they became successful and what they did and how they failed and like what not to do and that kind of stuff, and kind of like learning how to like build a business. If, like I want to open up, something down the road, it's like, well, now I know, like, now I know how this went, now I know how that went. And, like we talked to the CFO of Bojangles the other week, and it was like cool to like, kind of, it's like, oh shoot, like, like he was the CFO of Bojangles, So that was.
Did you see Kevin's face light up when you said CFO Bojangles? Kevin's face just lit up like, "Oh, you met the CFO Bojangles?"
Yeah, it was very cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
So is that like you're is that a passion of yours? You're thinking about like whenever you hang the spikes up down the road that you might want to start your own business?
So my whole plan, I guess, or whatever, is like I want to become a financial advisor,
Hmm.
and then kind of on the side, I want to like make enough money and then open up my own hitting facility and kind of like see where that kind of goes.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yes, sir.
Kevin will be looking to come there and work out at the hitting facility.
For sure.
Yeah, I've got two young boys that are ready to hit.
Heck yeah, let's go.
Actually, I've got my oldest is going to Cox Mill next year, so hopefully I'll follow in your footsteps there.
Yeah.
Cox Mill, so
Yep.
doing good.
Heck yeah. Well, Cox Mill is a good school.
Cox Mill High School, home of Chandler Riley.
Yes, sir.
All right, bud. Well, we appreciate it, man. We appreciate your time tonight. We're going to let you get on to it. But, man, we'll see you uptown tomorrow night. There'll be a lot of us there ready to pull the boys through.
Yes, sir. Let's go. And thank you guys for having me on.
Yes.
All right.
Thanks for coming on.
Chandler.
Yep.
All right. Man, I love talking to these guys. And he was putting the effort in too, Kevin. That pollen was
Yeah,
was working on him, man. But he's a trooper. He was soldiering through.
it's a tough opponent this time of year. Holland is.
No kidding. So, all right, folks, we got we wanted to get Chandler in here and talk to him and let him get on his way, but now we can kind of take a step back and go back through what's been happening on the field a little bit. Niners have been hot. No other way to say it. I mean, what did we say, Kevin? Won 8 of 9?
8 of 9, right?
8 of 9 going into this, which includes the weekend that should have been a sweep, honestly. Could have been a sweep against Wichita State. Didn't work out that way, but still won the series, which is what you want to do. You want to win 2 out of 3, and the Niners did that. And, man, these have been some of the Memphis series and the Wichita State. What we're starting to see, Kevin, I think, is we're playing complete games. The pitching has been doing well. We've been pitching all along, but now the bats are kind of starting to get in on the action too. And right now, the way this team's playing, when they pitch and they hit at the same time, man, it's hard to beat anybody. But this team's really seems to be putting together right now.
Yeah, good combination of offense and defense, pitching. In that third game, we were trailing, and late in the game, we had some great at bats. Key hits, key walks. We did what it took to get the lead, and then we did what we needed to keep it. So yeah, that signs of a good team is getting knocked down, coming back, and winning the series. When the series is on the line, you make the hits, make the pitches that you need to make to secure the series, and we did that for sure this weekend.
And the big thing is starting to get Cody Gunderson some help. I mean, Cody, at times earlier in the season, it felt like it was we were waiting to see if Cody could outscore the opposition. He was having to carry a lot of the weight. But now he's starting to get some production around him. He's had the last several lineups. He's had Dawson Bryce batting behind him, and Dawson's been picking up some hits, and that makes Cody even more dangerous. He can't just pitch around him. It's really starting to go. Chandler's a big part of that in the in the top of the lineup. It's really great to see. I hope we can keep those bats hot going into the weekend.
Yeah, Carson Bain. Looking at the series stats from last weekend, he led us with a 556 batting average, and he's battling through little knickknacks and whatnot with his hand. And Marinac up there too with 385 average on the weekend. Up and down the lineup, we're getting good production, and like I said, good at bats, quality at bats when we need it. When we need a walk, we get it. Need a hit, we get it. Need to pass the bat, we do it. And guys coming off the bench producing also.
Connor Marinack is starting to become the guy that we saw in the fall.
Yeah.
I mean, we were really impressed with him in the fall. And, of course, he had a lot of accolades coming in, D3 Player of the Year. And, there was certainly I guess we'll call it a transition period for Connor. But last few weeks, he's starting to look like the guy that we were expecting to see.
Right. Yep. I agree. He's been doing it with the glove, and now the bat's coming around the past few weeks. And really, there's no easy outs in the lineup. Everybody's a tough out, so it makes it tough to play against. And then you look at the pitching side. Sorry to transition. I don't know if you were going that way.
Perfect.
But looking at the series stats, we got Gillespie with his 6 innings with 0 earned runs. Cribbs 4 innings, 0 earned runs. And then we got JT. He's got 0 earned runs as well for the weekend. The pitching has been solid. We've been very consistent. Guys coming out of the pen, getting outs, and if that's not your day, next man up, they're getting it done. So there's a lot of depth in that bullpen as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of names to call out. Man, that Blake Gillespie has been on a heater when he pitches 6 innings, and we say, not tongue in cheek, but we say Blake only went 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, he only went 6.
6 and only 9 Ks.
Yeah, only. He's been, but the other thing, there's all kind of guys. Chase Carson has had some big innings, some big moments lately. I love the way the staff is using JT right now. The load on JT is being managed. We're seeing him kind of come in for about 40 to 50 pitches a weekend. They're using him economically, I guess would be the word I'm looking for. And I love the way this is playing out right now. I don't feel like we're not having to ride any one guy out of that bullpen. And we've had to do that in the past at times. It's like, well, I mean, we don't have to look back very far. It's like, is it Tony or AJ, or AJ and Tony? Right now we have so many different guys that are getting productive outs. Tanner Kaler has kind of come out of nowhere over the last few weeks, and he looks like, he's a piece now. So I love the fact that the staff, and particularly the bullpen, has evolved.
Right. Stanton, Sarver, Camp, AJ Camps had a good couple of weeks here.
Yeah.
So, like I said, there's lots of depth there. We've got lots of options. And, if it's not your day, then somebody else is going to come in behind you and it'll be their day. So it's a good feeling to be confident when they see the bullpen door open and someone running out there. We have a lot of confidence in whoever's coming through that door. Yeah.
And AJ Camp, I mean, it's easy to forget he's a freshman. And, not everybody's on every day. But when AJ's on from the left-hand side, man, he carves people up. It's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, well, what did you say? Carving him up like a Christmas ham? Well,
yeah.
Did you say that at a game one time?
I think I did. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a pretty good one. But yeah, it's fun to watch these guys pitch for sure. And from the left side, baseball loves lefties, so it's cool to see. Yeah.
So all these dudes, and then we had a good time. We had a good time on Tuesday night in K-Town at Atrium Health Ballpark, kind of a home game for us here. And that Gardner-Webb team, we won that game 9-4. The very next night, they went down to Clemson and ended up losing that game. I think it was 4-2, but that game was 2-2. That game was 2-2, I think, into the 7th. So, Gardner Webb, you look at it, you say, oh, Gardner Webb, they're not having a very good season. And the numbers don't look good for them as far as their record, but they're a scrappy ball club. And if you don't believe it, ask Clemson. So to keep it rolling and get a win in Kannapolis against Gardner Webb on Tuesday night is absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Right. Yeah. It was, that game was still somewhat in doubt late in the game.
It was.
But we had a great town, as always, in K-Town. Shout out to Officer Pike. That's his title, right? That's his.
That is Officer Sidney Pike was watching over events there. If you guys, those of you who've been around for a while, might remember Sidney from the dugout. He was manager. He was head manager. He worked his way up. He originally was working for the previous staff and then worked under this staff as well. He is now a Kannapolis City police officer. And so we had one of our own. I think he went out of his way to sign up for extra duty to get to work the game. But it was awesome to see Officer Pike patrolling Atrium Health Ballpark. I felt safe.
Yes. As soon as I saw him, I knew I was safe. That ballpark was safe on Tuesday night for sure. Especially since he kept hecklers like you out, kept you away from heckling too many people out there.
Well, I was conserving anyway. I mean, we got a long week. It's a long week, so we just you gotta pace yourself, Kevin.
Right. That was a cool night. We kind of walked around the park, ended up in the that right field bar area.
Yeah,
it was not open. It wasn't open. The bar itself wasn't open, but the seating was open. So that was a cool spot to observe the game from.
Yeah, I love that part. It's my second favorite ballpark. It's home away from home over the summer, so to speak, when there's no ball at the Hayes. So love doing that. So speaking of minor league ballparks, I guess we need to talk about this weekend. Who are we playing?
Eastern North Carolina.
Eastern. Okay. Yeah, we're playing Eastern. So Friday night, tomorrow night, we're recording this on Thursday night, Truist Ballpark, which, I mean, honestly, if you're comparing stadium backdrops, Truist wins over maybe anywhere as far as a stadium backdrop with the skyline of Charlotte in the background. So that should be fun down at Truist. And then we get back to the Hayes Saturday and Sunday, 3-game set against East Carolina. And hey, let's just put this out there. There's kind of two truths, Kevin, and I'm gonna tell them both. Okay. One, this is the program that we've needed to find a way to overcome. Really going back to 21. And that regional. And now that we're in the conference, we got the win on Sunday last year in Greenville. But they've kind of been if we're the Chicago Bulls, if we're the late 80s Bulls, they've been the Detroit Pistons. They've been the bad boy Pistons. And until we find a way to overcome them, we need to overcome them to pursue our goals as a program. And so that's one truth. And the other truth is they're really on the struggle bus right now. I mean, there's just not another way to say it. They're kind of limping into Charlotte right now.
Right. Yeah. The first truth you said, yes, is correct. They've kind of been the standard in our conference. I think when they were in the Conference USA, they were up there, and then they moved on to AAC, and we followed along last year, and they've been the most successful program in the American Athletic Conference over its tenure, really. Mm-hmm. So they're at the top of the list until someone knocks them down, and they have struggled this year. I think the climate of college athletics is taking its toll a little bit on everybody, and they're feeling it too. just like everyone else. And I think they've had a couple injuries, but they're a young team as well, so they've hit the struggle bus a little bit. Every team does it, and I think we're kind of playing them at the right time. They got swept at home by FAU. That's the first. I think that was the first home series they were swept since 2018, or
I think it was 2018. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they lost to NC State on Tuesday night. They're in a low spot right now. The season has highs and lows, and they're kind of going through some low spots right now. And it's definitely a program we pay attention to quite a bit as being a college baseball fan in North Carolina. It's one of the better programs in the state traditionally. So it's going to be a good series, and the Uptown, playing at Uptown just adds to it. It's going to be professional ballpark Friday night. Hopefully I'm sure it's going to be a big crowd there.
Oh yeah.
And then Saturday and Sunday at the Hayes. I hear there's only standing room only tickets available for those games. It's going to be a great college baseball atmosphere, all three games. So really looking forward to seeing what happens, and I think it's going to be a good series.
And they're really programs kind of operating in under different models. You kind of alluded to it. They have done a great job of bringing in their guys, homegrown talent, and raising them up. And we've played against them over the years. All the guys that they've had. I mean, most recently is Savage pitching on Friday. But those guys have kind of matriculated out. And then in a way, this era of college athletics, I mean, the truth is we've already faced their best pitcher this year. We faced him on Saturday at Arkansas in Zach Root. I mean, and that's college athletics now. Is if you've got a talent like that, and he obviously commanded some significant money in the open market. So we already faced Zach Root this year in Fayetteville. I believe they had the freshman of the year left fielder. He's at where's he at? Texas Tech. Is that right? He's in the Big 12. Might be Texas Tech, and that's it. That's what it is. I mean, we're watching the basketball portal right now. Guys are. I'm not even sure how many players we have on the team as far as basketball goes these days. Not that I'm following it that closely, but this is college athletics now. Yeah,
the days of developing a freshman and hope and seeing your fruits of your labor as a junior. I think those days are gone. You'll still see that, but it's not going to be commonplace anymore. You're going to be.
It's not going to be your bread and butter,
right? Yeah, you have like your top tier guys are probably not going to do that. Your middle of the pack guys, you may see that, but it's going to be hard. It's hard to develop multi-year over multiple years this day and age. It's a 1 year. Everything's a 1 year deal pretty much as far as developing that player for 1 year and then trying to hang on to them for another year.
Yeah. And, I mean, you don't have to look very far. We just talked to Chandler Riley. He's got sort of a unique journey, but he left here looking for playing time to develop. And let's face it. I mean, he was playing on the left-hand side of the infield, and he's behind Austin Knight and Jack Dragum. And I mean, there really wasn't a way forward right there. So he's able to go to Gaston. He winds up at Campbell, but hey, he's come back, and it's a great story. And if you can't tell, he's happy to be back. So the portal. Trust me, we talk about this all the time offline, and complain about the state of college athletics, but it's not all bad. You just got to learn to leverage it the right way.
Yeah, it gives and it takes away. It gives, but it also takes away. And you've got to learn. You've got to learn how to play it and get the best that you can out of the portal. There's a lot of great players in the portal. A lot of great players looking for playing time, and a lot of good players looking for one shot. Look at Wyatt Hudapole.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Blake Gillespie. Both
Logan Coatee.
Yeah, all three of the SEC schools looking for an opportunity, and we're providing that opportunity. And all three of those guys have been successful. Austin Knight was from SEC school and looking for an opportunity. He became an All-American.
Jack Dragon, originally Virginia.
Yeah, there's plenty of great ball. There's lots of great ball players out there, and
I'm okay with that.
Yep.
Woody's a big money ball guy. Adapt or die. He loves that movie. We love that movie. Don't tell us how inaccurate it is. We don't care. It's still a great movie. And that scene in the hallway where Billy's like, adapt or die. That's kind of where we're at. And I'm cool with that. We just have to be ahead of the curve. Speaking of which, well, I was going to transition there. What do you think, Kevin? What's your gut telling you this weekend? How you feeling? Your feelings are very important to me, Kevin.
My feelings, well, not that my feelings matter at all, but I'm feeling good, obviously. I'm feeling good about this weekend. I think Friday night's going to be exciting. Blake Gillespie on the mound. Anytime you put Blake Gillespie on the mound, you got a chance to win.
Yes, you do.
And I think we're going to start off the weekend on the right foot, and then go back to the Hayes in front of our home fans and a home field advantage there at the Hayes, and I think we got a good shot. I like our chances.
I just glancing ahead at the schedule. Do you notice where our midweek is next week?
Is it Chapel Hill?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of people we just love to hang out with and talk about, we go from Eastern to Chapel Hill. So anyway, it's going to be fun. We just the weather's hopefully going to cooperate tomorrow on Friday. We need that to happen, and get back to the Hayes on Saturday and Sunday. It should be a raucous environment. Looking forward to it. I know the students have got some stuff planned, and it's just going to be a good weekend for baseball. It's a little nervous, feeling a little nervous, but this is good. It's a good nervous. This is what we want to do. We want to play. We want to play on a big stage, and certainly this weekend is it. So let's get it done.
Yeah.
Something that we need to circle back around to on the way out the door, if you will, is that Niner Nation Gives. We talked to you guys about Niner Nation Gives last week, and it's happened now. It's over. It ended at 1:00 on Thursday afternoon today. We're recording this Thursday night. And man, you guys showed out. I don't know another way to put it. We went out there, Niner Nation Gives. If you didn't, hopefully you saw the video that producer Brad hooked us up with. And if you didn't get a chance to see that, it's still out on YouTube. That was a lot of fun to do. And, my arm's still a little sore from slinging it all the way across the diamond to Kevin.
I'm so glad Brad got that on video, that laser beam you shot across the diamond.
Yep. And if you don't believe me, go look. It's on video. And, Niner Nation Gives is over. We put a $5,000 challenge out there for you guys. And we were like, talk about being nervous. We were like, well, can we do, are people going to respond? You guys blew through that by the fifth inning at Atrium Health Ballpark against Gardner Webb. I got a text like in the fifth inning, like, hey, we're through the goal. Let's keep going. And so we went for 10. And man, this morning and was looking at it. I'm like, are we going to get to 10? We put some tweets out. We sent some texts. All the stuff was going. Conversation was being had behind the scenes. And I was in class. I got out and I saw it. We had hit it. And so we hit the $5,000 challenge. We hit the $10,000 challenge. And we only did that because of you folks. So on behalf of us, behalf of Charlotte baseball, all the boys, man, thank y'all. That was awesome. We've never done anything like that before on that level. And it was cool to be a part of.
Yeah, and hats off to you for setting the challenge out there. And you had the great idea to put a video out, and producer Brad made us look really good. So it was awesome.
And I want to be clear here. I'm just admitting this out in public. I did have an idea for a video, but we were going to do it like, my idea was we would do it like this, just like right here, and we would do it like in podcast form. It was producer Brad that said, no, let's go out to the stadium and do something on the field. And I was like, oh, okay, let's do it. And thanks to the staff, because we reached out to Woody and asked for, hey, can we get on the field in between you guys practicing and Wichita State coming in? And they were like, yeah, come on down. And so everybody was just awesome about it. And I just couldn't be happier about the way everything worked out this week.
Yeah, it was awesome. Well, and how long a clip was it, the video?
Brad, was it 2 minutes?
2 minutes?
Producer Brad's looking around. It was about 2 minutes.
It took us an hour to get our lines right, and to get we had so many takes because obviously if you couldn't tell, we're not professional actors, or we didn't have any teleprompters, so. Yeah, we had to remember things, and it was a little tough.
Producer Brad left some very interesting footage on the cutting room floor of us trying to do our lines. So anyway, all that is to say, we just want to say thank you guys, because I know that the folks that watch the show on a regular basis were participating in that, and means a lot to us. And I know it means a lot to the program to feel that support. So, meeting the blowing through a $5,000 challenge and hitting a $10,000 challenge. I mean, that was awesome.
Yep, and it does feel good. It feels good because we started doing this just to help the program, and that's what our main focus is helping the program, and we're tangibly helping the program. Doing stuff like that, and hats off to you and your family for setting that challenge, and hats off to everyone who helped meet it. Got a lot of money, got a lot of resources heading into Niner baseball in the coming years.
It's all about we, that's it. It's team, and that's the guys on the field, the staff, all of us. Got folks in the stands. It's we, and so. Just really, really proud and impressed with all of you. And, man, it's got me fired up. I'm ready to go jump on Eastern now, Kevin.
Let's go get it.
All right, folks, we are out of time for tonight. If you like what we're doing here, like, share, and subscribe. Follow Diamond Niner Report all over the internet, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, never TikTok. Reach out. We love talking to you folks. Reach out, DM us, reach out on social media. If you're old fashioned like we are, just say hello at the ballpark, which tomorrow night or tonight, if you're watching this on Friday morning, will be Truist Field in Uptown Charlotte. So, all right, for Kevin, for producer Brad, and Chandler Riley, appreciate him stopping by. This has been Nick saying we'll see you at the Hayes.